You got me to take a shower. Before I get up
Fantastic.
there. Yeah.
We'll call this meeting back to order. Marty Peters, come on up,
Okay. Hey, Marty. Just sit
right
there.
here,
Okay.
front and center.
All right, first of all, I wanted everybody to know I'm not trying to make anybody mad. I think you guys done at the dump do a really, really good job and for the money that they have. But I guess first sort of thing is I'm gonna just talk to Elaine, right?
Laura.
Laura, sorry.
Yes, no, that's
Elaine, I'm
fine.
sorry, I got you too here. I was talking with you and I mentioned on this easement.
Yes.
That is running down there, which really, from what I read on this easement, I have a 75-foot road easement from, well, basically, I don't know if you know where Lavender's house is there or anything,
Mm-hmm.
from there to my front gate. And right through the county's property. And a few years, we kind of have a little bit, about 10 years, I just don't want things to happen like it did last time, because it cost me a bunch of money with the lawyer and everything else, because I was down to about an 8-foot road easement. And so basically, I guess what I'm looking at is I know that it's a good, I know that they're trying to do a lot down there. On the very last page down there, the only thing I guess that's really kind of in the way of the road easement is, I'm sorry I didn't give you a map of this now, but I can let you look at that or something if you want. But that's my copy of that.
Oh, good,
But-
excellent.
But if you look on here, it's going down here, when they get down into the, where they're starting getting into where the recycling is down there, the road's about 25 feet in there. And I'm not complaining so much about the road easement as that, is the fact is that by state law, you have to contain your garbage. And that's why that big fence is down there anyway. And I just don't see where they got their, where they do have their original recycling equipment here, that they'd ever be able to put a fence up and comply with the 75-foot road easement. And I don't know if they, I know they have some property right behind the box crusher there that,
I'm gonna stop you for just a minute.
Right.
Brian, will you come up here so that you can look at this stuff too, please?
like I said, I'm not trying to make Brian mad or anything else, because I know you guys do, you do a
Nicole.
bang up job on keeping the dump up, and you work hard and everything else, but, you know, all of your dump stuff sitting right in here, which,
This is a recycling.
the recycle, excuse me, yes. But what I'm suggesting here is that a person maybe sit there behind your box crusher, move all your stuff behind the box crusher here. The box crusher is 75 feet. And then it'll give you the room to put in containment fence around that. And when I look at there, and you could also run a horseshoe right through it and turn around here, and you say a person could ride in and drive right back out, get on the main road and come back out again. And that's kind of what I'm trying to show here is, I don't know if that's feasible with a person or anything like that, but that's all I'm asking of them, basically. And to maintain 75-foot road easement all the way through the property. Because it just keeps everything opened up, everything isn't getting so clustered, everything else down there.
Have you had problems with getting to your place?
The biggest problem with it, well, there is, I noticed when you guys do turn around here and you, when you're dumping these garbage cans, your equipment has to be out on the road to get to it. You know, and I'm just saying, all I'm saying here is I'm just trying to make it easier. I don't know if that would make it easier for you guys to contain your garbage, give you more room to work.
I think we do a pretty good job of containing it as it is.
Well, but all the
I don't
garbage
see a lot of
garbage
blowing.
goes right down I pick garbage every day down the road. You know.
You might.
Okay. Well, I maintain this 75-foot road easement here anyway, because ever since we had the last little argument about the county and me on my road easement, the county shop kills the weeds right up to their fence, and the dump kills the weeds right up to their fence, and they need a 75-foot road easement for me to take care of, you know. And I don't, what is the guy that does the recycle most of the time? What is his? Brent? Okay. He does a heck of a job. He's always walking up down this fence. My grandson, I'm walking up down this fence all the time picking garbage. I mow this. I don't mind mowing it because it keeps the dust out instead of just killing it. I also work at the fire department over here, which they have I mow all their stuff for them too, just so they have a decent area to work when they're down there, instead of having 4 feet of weeds sitting there. But that's just kind of, the only other problem I have with the dump, and I know that ain't Brian's fault too, but by state law, it says that you're supposed to control your pests. And it's a hornet's nest down there. It is really, I mean, I know
Well,
a lot of these.
I'll speak up now. State law does not apply to canister sites. That much I do know.
Okay,
And I think we do the best we can. with
I do,
COVID.
I
If you've been
understand.
anywhere in this county this year, you know they're bad.
Oh, I know that.
There's no food for them, so they go where there's food, and yeah, there's.
Well, bees go for protein in the summer and they go for sugar in the winter, so that's, and I mean, that's one reason with your little, where you put all your bottles, you know, I mean, that, because of all the sugar, you know, I mean, they tracks them in there. I put up 4 bee traps on my place, and I bet you I've got over 1,000 yellow jackets in them right now,
Yeah.
in over a week and a half or something like that. I know it's hard to contain, and I gotta look at it, you know, I'm looking at his story here, he ain't got the money to do this stuff. You know, I mean, he does what, he's got the money to do what he does. You know, and that's kind of the way I look at it, I guess, you know. If it was up to me, in my opinion, there wouldn't be a dump down there in the first place. Because, and I don't know what your argument is on that, but every piece of garbage that goes into that dump is drove through the front gate. So basically what you end up doing, then you gotta pay for transportation to haul it up to the dump, go through it, and then haul it back off again.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it'd be feasible for the dump, if they could, maybe they could just have it open 7 days a week and have everything dumped up there, you know, instead of all the transportation costs and everything. And I don't know if it's feasible or not. I like I said, that's my opinion. You know, when I moved in down there was 2 dumpsters, there's 9 dumpsters down there now. And they raise my taxes every year, and my address is not 720 North Cedar, my address is next to the dump. That's where everybody knows where I live. And, but I guess every time they add a dumpster, they think my property's worth more money,
Mhm.
you know, and so they raise my taxes. But that's the only issues I really have here. And I mean, and like I said, I don't want Brian mad at me, I don't want his workers mad at me, because like I said, you said, I think you do the best job you can. Yes, you do. You guys, for the manpower you got and the money you got to do it, you guys do one heck of a job, you know. And that's what I was just saying, with this containment fence that is sitting there, then it's gonna be easier for your guys to pick up behind it too, because it isn't blowing around. You know, which I know, you know.
Well, what I'd like to do with this, and I wish you'd come and talk to me first, so I don't have to do it here. I'd like to put a shed around that baler.
Why?
to keep the wind off it.
Right,
That shed would go back this way, where you
Right.
have all these cans dropped in.
right.
It would go the other way, and it would keep the wind off the cardboard, so it wouldn't be blowing around.
Is there still room to put all this back in here after that shed's put in there? You know, I did, the only reason I came to.
There's a
talk to-
possibility of it, but we also have a chunk of city property over here. that we-
Right, I didn't know how far the city property went back there, or if you guys have enough room back there or not. You know, I know you guys, yeah, I know you get, it's hard for you to get enough money to put a building up. Where are you gonna get the money for the fence? But the fact is, you know, I mean, it's state law to contain garbage, you know? And it needs a containment fence around it as well, you know, so. And I think of it, I don't know, I'm just trying to make it, I'm just, Laura asked me to just drop a picture of what I was thinking, you know? I'm not saying, oh, you gotta do this or anything, I'm setting this, I'm gonna argue with you until, but, you know, I'm just saying that maybe we can pull this back a little bit farther or something like that.
It's possible. I don't know.
Mhm. I apologize for not talking to you first, too, because I don't want to cause hard feelings between me and you, okay? All right.
And I got a certificate of survey from 1994.
94 or 74?
94.
If I may speak up.
Yes, please do.
I believe the easement was done in 74,
Right.
correct? The earliest certificate of survey we have is done, the earliest was done in 1979. There was another one done in 19, I think it's 85, I can't read the date.
Is that the actual road easement survey?
This is between the city and the county, and then there's one there that was done, the most recent one. And it does refer to your easement, but it doesn't show it across there because your
Well, the old
easement, it doesn't really define the easement in the easement document.
Well,
You've got
the
a
only
copy.
thing that it does define in the easement, is that it states on there, the old fairgrounds property from the
Correct,
city limits.
correct. But that was done 40 years ago. I'm just
No,
saying,
on
there's nothing on paper that shows where your 75.
Well,
Foot
according,
easement goes.
according to the Forest Service maps,
Mhm.
my original easement goes right to the county shop.
Well, that could be. I'm just saying there's nothing that there was documentation at the county to give the surveyor information enough to put it on this
Right.
plaque. That's what I'm saying.
Well-
And I'm not disputing
Right.
your historical easement. I'm just telling you what's on record in the county.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause I don't have, you know, I mean, the biggest problem was, is when we went through that before, is because, well, I had an appraisal on my property, probably 12, 15 years ago or something like that. And the appraiser came back and said I had no access to my property whatsoever, no legal access to my property whatsoever. So at that time, it cost me to do about $1,800 to come and talk to the county commissioners to get done what was done before. You know, and I don't wanna go through where it's costing me a whole bunch of money again, just because, you know, I mean, everybody's gotta be happy with this one. And, you know, and I don't want, like I said, I'm not here to make anybody mad, all I'm trying to do is, if there's room out there, keep it opened up a little bit, a little cleaner.
If there's something in the commissioner's minutes about it, I didn't even know where to start looking for that.
Well, it was about, I'd have to look on, I don't know. Well, it was back in about June of 2004, because here's all the letters to John Flynn and also from Pat Hooks and everything else.
Oh, okay.
Everybody trying to figure out if they could make it to the meeting or not. But I've been doing this for well, I tell you what, it's been going on since about 1995, because basically that's about the time I bought the property. And at that time, I even used to volunteer my time, my garbage bags, my pickup, and they'd give me community service workers to go down and pick garbage all the time. You know, and so, you know, and then that's because they had 2 strands of barbed wire around the
Sure.
whole dump. You know, and that's when we got into a big argument about containing the garbage there, and that's why you guys got all these big fences all the way around all your dumps around the county, you know, so. And, like I said, I'm just trying to keep things, you know, see if we can keep things a little organized, and, you know, and, you know, I know these guys gotta do a job too, I tell you what, you know, and I mean, and for my defense for these guys, is they need some more money to do it, is what they need, you know, because they don't have the money to do it. You know, I can understand that, you know, I mean, I think it was a blessing to give, you got enough money together to put a building over that thing, you know? More or less have to worry about another, whatever it's gonna cost to build a fence around it, or something like that. But, and then I guess the only other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is, okay, and I talked to you about that with the search and rescue. And the reason I'm talking to you about that is groundwater. And if a sewer tank is put down in that area down there, I don't know if anybody has ever looked into the fact that when I put in my last septic tank in there, I had a 4 to 6 month wait period with test wells before I was granted a septic permit.
Really?
And I ended up putting in a raise system, instead of paying $3,500 on a raise system, it cost me $11,000 to put a septic tank in there. So I had that pumping system and everything else. But my neighbor has a regular system. And what I'm saying is, so I'm kind of, and all we were arguing over is, in fact, I was told by the county sanitarian at the time, I put in my permit like in May. And I was told the county sanitarian that when she came in, she said, we're punching a test well in your backyard, and when you don't see any snow on Dr. Baldy anymore, we might give you a permit. In September, I think it was when I got my permit. And at that time, she told me, she said, if you would have put your permit in August, it probably would have flew. You wouldn't even have had to done all this stuff, because the groundwater went down so much. And we were arguing over 1 inch, in 7.5 feet, we were arguing over 1 inch for a pumping system. And if I went to a different part of my property, I could have put it in, because the groundwater was okay there. But she didn't like it there because there was a building there, and she thought I'd put a driveway up to it. And I said, I'll grass it up. But it had to be in that one spot, and so it cost me the tune of 4 times as much to put a septic tank in down there, what it should have cost me. And that's kind of why I guess, you know, but I know you guys, I don't want everybody to go in there and start building a bunch of stuff and everything else, and then find out, or is everybody in compliance with everything when it comes to groundwater and everything else like that, you know, so I just, that is the only reason I talked to them before talking to you about it, because I had no idea that anybody had anything to do with a building or anything like that, putting above your thing there, other than reading in the newspaper that you guys already approved. And I thought, well, maybe we ought to talk about this a little bit and see if there's a little better way we can do it before you guys turn around and spend a bunch of money putting a building in there. And everything, in that way, everybody could be happy.
Well, it's always good to sit down at a table and talk face to face,
Okay,
always.
that's about all I gotta say.
Brian, comments,
Well,
questions?
I think we need to get a, because all the equipment that we have sitting here it's parked there, basically, is what it is. Nothing is on a foundation, nothing is dug into the ground, it all can be moved. And I think it probably needs to come from Corey, is what's a reasonable use for an easement? You know, is equipment being on the road occasionally a violation of an easement agreement? I guess is the,
Well, it isn't so much the equipment, but even all the recycled containers are actually on the easement, you know.
well, what about all your equipment that's parked down here,
I have 3 down here,
that's on the easement?
I take care of it, so I leave it there, that's basically the way.
But it's on the easement. We take care of this, and it's on the easement.
I know, but my stuff is portable like
So is
truck.
ours.
Okay, well, I'll move my stuff off it.
If that's the decision that's made, or we just
Right,
leave it as it is and everybody does what we've been doing.
right. Well, I tell you what, I just, like I say, minor trucks that sit there, they can move. You know, this stuff, I know you bring your equipment, this stuff is pretty much all garbage cans and everything else that are, that's kind of their, okay, this is your new home, this is where it's gonna sit, you know.
They get moved occasionally.
Okay. Yeah, when you're done. One thing I was gonna bring up, I'd like to put a fence across this road right here too, and I also talked to, or just put a gate on it, that's an access in there. Because everybody in this county thinks if they go to the dump, that they gotta sprint the Brody at the dump and drive out of there at 800 miles an hour. They're gonna see how much dust they can raise at the dump. And the only reason I'm talking about putting a gate across here is it's no access, it's a public road easement to come down and use, yes it is. The county has a sign here that it's inspired by the county, it's stuff. I talked to Ed Schindel about this, he don't care if I put one down there. But people, the other day, a guy told me that next to my dump truck sitting down there, there's a kid that backed in there and was parked back in there at 10 o'clock at night, next to my trucks. You know,
Oh, see.
what is he doing back there? You know, I went and checked to see, did you siphon all the gas out of my truck, or, you know, I had a little Class C motorhome sitting down there, and, the door was open. So I don't know, you know, so that's kind of the things, but, when somebody ain't using it, they don't even, I've had people come down there and they just park down there, and they bring their dogs down there to use the facilities, I guess, or something, and they park down here on this fire department property too, and they turn around and they say, well, we just like to find a nice place to sit and watch the deer and do this stuff and everything, but, you know, but I know Ed doesn't have any problem with me using this here, because otherwise Ed would have 5 feet of weeds that he'd have to contain with every time his boys went down there and wanted to play in their building down there or something like that, where, like I said, I mow it all down for him, everything,
You
keep it
don't
all.
think they want to take care of 5 feet of weeds?
What's
What
that?
they do with that building? They just light it on fire.
Yeah, yeah, they could, you know.
So where are the gravel pits that the county owns?
Right here.
I understand we have kids going in there.
There's always kids in there all the time.
That's a busy place.
That's how you see the hospital.
Same with them. They're all over. I mean, kids go down, I've got on kids a couple of times for busting the glass all over the dump and everything else.
Well, and also adults going in and helping themselves to gravel.
Oh, are they helping themselves?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
Well, it's
A
owned by
lot.
the county.
Hmm?
Their taxes paid for it.
Yeah, I'm sure they're.
They paid for it.
Government gravel. Well, where do you, tell me where you think your easement is, because it's not clear from these documents where it is.
Well, when I was reading the document, I was
You
using
got
it
a, you
here.
got a map or something?
Well, okay. All right, you got it, where am I?
This is the shop.
All right,
This
right.
is the dump right here.
Right, I see
This is
it
the
here.
proposed county building.
I
There's the
prefer
cedar.
some canister stuff.
I'm really sorry,
Oh, okay.
trashing.
Well, my gate's right here, and from what I understand.
Which way's north?
On this way.
Okay.
Okay. And from what I understand, the old easement, when they had, this all used to be fairground property right in here. And from what I understand, if you read on this easement in here, it says from the city limits of the town, city limits of Broadwater County, or Townsend, Montana.
Where did you read that? Because I can't find that anywhere. I see the very last paragraph, a generally easterly westerly direction.
Public water furnishing access to the Broadwater County Fairgrounds property to the grantee's gate on the westerly edge of their property.
So if you look at the attached page, it shows 400 feet from city limits to the edge of this property. Is this box your property?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Nothing about. So, because looking at that, what it reads like on this deed to me is that your easement is only from North Cedar to your property.
Well, that's.
Because
not
it's
North
easterly,
Cedar.
no,
The extension of
it
North
is,
Cedar.
it is the extension of North Cedar, because your
Has it
easement
ever
only
been-
says
has
easterly,
this-
westerly.
Is this piece that runs from the city limits to the dump, everything designated as a street?
This is right here, this is North Cedar, coming all the way up. That's North Cedar all the way.
Yeah, I don't think this road's ever been annexed into the North Cedar Street.
County
Yeah,
shop
there's-
has a North Cedar address.
So if you look at this, you can see the extension of North Cedar Street.
And then,
From the existing public road furnishing access.
Is that on
to
the right
the
easement?
Broadwater County Fairgrounds property, which has been-
Doesn't, here's what's, okay, I'm not gonna give you an answer today, because it references another old survey that we're gonna have to find to look at, but I will tell you this. It says, this easement, it says over and across Grantor's land, Grantor being the county, hereafter described land for the purpose of a public road and right of way. So this is not a private easement. It's a
Right, I know
Public
it isn't.
road, right of way.
I'm
And
not-
then it says, last sentence, Grantor being the county expressly reserved unto itself the right to use said easement and right of way up to the grantee's property line. So I think we need to do a couple of things. First is find this other previous survey that it references in here, and then delineate exactly where we think it is, and we have to get a certificate of survey delineating where that easement
Well,
is.
see-
We think it's what you're saying, I think it's roughly where you're saying it is, here to here.
Well, I think it's from here, actually, I think my road easement is from here to here.
Now it's going east-west, it says.
it's only
Easterly,
easterly,
westerly,
westerly.
across, but there is a section here, I gotta find it, because it does state in here, that it actually states in here from the city's property, or the city's property line where access to the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
And that was right here.
Well, so that's
And
the
what it
thing, I
used to
gotta
do
look at
is
that
it-
old survey of the fairgrounds property.
Right, and if you, and when I was looking on old Forest Service maps, that easement actually came from here and went like this and went right through you guys' county shop, both of them right here, and then rode the fence line down to here and into my place.
I don't think that matches the language in this.
Okay, but that's where the actual road that was down there at one time, like if you look at Forest Service maps.
So was there a 74 road that went from here to here?
No. You know what happened here is over the period of time what was going on in this easement here, this road disappeared when all this started turning into county shop here. And then they started making a little dirt road down in here. Well, then pretty soon this fence started moving back farther and farther and farther, and pretty soon, all I was sitting in was in a mud hole.
Yeah.
And I had no road at all.
So how do you access your property right now?
I go down this road right here and then I cross this way.
Okay.
But, so what I was saying here is when we got into this one here, when I had to turn around and when John Flynn was the county attorney and also when the county commissioners were, Steve McCullough and Jim
Yeah.
and we had to turn around in here because like I said, when I went into and had a survey done on this property, they turned around and told me that my road, I didn't have access to my property. I did not have a road easement to my property. So that's when we turned around and we had that, you know, thing going on in 2004, or what was going on. I don't really have a problem with this road right here.
You just wanna get nailed down, is what you're saying.
We just wanna find out, I mean, you know, I know you guys gotta work off of here, but I mean, if we're gonna make it, let's make it as pleasant looking as we possibly can. You know, and also stay in compliance like with you know, with containment fences or something like that to contain garbage or anything like that. And the same thing with the, you know, now you guys wanna come over here and start building all this stuff, but okay, when you had a revised easement on this road, how wide is the road supposed to be? On the extension on Cedar Street?
It's probably a 60-foot is my guess, if
Okay,
it's a
well,
city
it's
street.
right down here, the road's 25 feet.
Yeah, if you look at that,
The driving surface is different than the easement.
here's what they did, here's what they did. Before the city was, the street was extended, they did extend a 30-foot utility easement all the way up to that, all the way up there,
Right.
apparently, and that would have been the right edge, the right half of what would ultimately be a city easement if
To
they,
the city.
a street easement if they extended that to the whole street. And it
Right.
would go from there, it would fit right into that block right there.
Okay.
But right now, all they've got, as of this date, which was 93 feet, is a 30-foot utility easement on the right side.
And that isn't really even the street.
Right.
The street kind of goes this way.
Yeah. I think the course of the street versus the straight line are two different things. So I think what we need to do, I can't tell you right now, I've gotta match quarter sections and I've gotta find the other the old survey of the fairgrounds, cause that's the one that it references in this document. And we're gonna have to get a surveyor to decipher all this with us, figure out where it is. The other thing that's interesting is it does say, I think it's a little contradictory in the document, because it does say it will follow the existing roadway. But I don't know what the roadway was in 1974,
Right.
so, you know, and then it references a gate on your property, well, that gate could have been moved.
No, it's always been moved on, it's always been on that one side.
Okay, so that's, we can put it together, but it's a little bit of a puzzle to put together right now, I guess.
You know, I'm not, like I said, I'm not, I just, you know, forget it, I know you guys are expanding all the time and everything else, well, but, okay, well, you know, I mean, I gotta live down there and stuff, and everybody always throws that one at me, well, you knew you lived by the dump when you moved down. But the fact is, there was two containers down there when I moved down there, and it wasn't this, yeah, I mean, I know things expand, I know things get bigger and stuff like that, you know.
Well, the other thing is, let's say we figure this out, and it absolutely isn't gonna work for what's currently there. I mean, the parties can agree to change the easement to something that does work,
Right.
so.
Well, then maybe we ought to get it squared away, because like you guys wanna turn around, and you wanna expand on buildings for search and rescue, and you wanna expand on to other people doing this and everything. And that's why I say, I know you say I've had other people tell me that it's not, that property is definitely on the floodplain. You say it isn't on the floodplain, is what you told me. It's
And that
close.
would be for Nicole, no, basically,
Is my place
The
on
line
it?
of the
No, you're-
floodplain
sorry, you're not in the
runs
floodplain.
right about where,
you can see,
Part-
yep,
cardboard
all
right
of the, basically all of this, where all of this is right in here is
Right.
floodplain. And it really does just follow this tree line pretty closely.
This is the floodplain?
Mhm. Yep, and everything.
So when I got charged $11,000 for a
Northwest.
septic tank, because I was told by your sanitary,
I'm not gonna argue about that.
you're not gonna answer that one, huh? Because I did, I tell you what, I should have been able.
well, I can tell you when they built this other wall
Right.
here, they had to change plans for that wall because they couldn't go down the 6 feet they needed to put footings in,
Right.
because they hit water.
Mhm.
So they went 4 feet and
Right.
made the footing longer.
Well, I dug a lot of fence posts down there, and, you know, I tell you what, at 4 feet, I don't hit water.
When we dug the hole to put that power pole in, where our cardboard baler
They
is,
just soaking in water.
we hit water at the bottom, yeah.
Yeah. Cause see, over here, I mean, even when in the early spring runoff here, we were sitting at 7.5 feet. And I had to be 7.5 feet from the water table, I think it was, don't quote me on that, but something like that. And we were actually arguing over 1 inch of where my septic tank, whether I had to put in a pumping system or I didn't have to put in a pumping system. So basically, I don't know, now I'm looking at the floodplain Indian near my place, and the county sanitarium made me put in $11,000.
When did you do that? Because we've had it
4 or 5
remapped.
years. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago or something
Are you paying flood insurance?
Am I playing what?
Paying flood insurance?
I don't think I have flood insurance on
Okay. If you're in a floodplain, you'd have to pay.
my phone. Okay, no.
Well, we had, my family had to do that. We were, half property was in the floodplain, half it was out. But due to whatever sanitation requirements were, they basically built a built-up mound and an elevated sewage system. Rather than, they couldn't go down 2 feet, they had to build up 2 feet.
Right.
So I don't know.
So, but then if you're talking,
I think that's
it's
a
in the
good place
floodplain
here.
right here?
Yeah.
You guys are talking
so
about
like-
like the search and rescue building?
Well, about right here.
Actually,
Just kind
some
of this-
discussion from Mike is behind, is this
Oh, even
Adams?
more this way,
Yeah.
this is Adams.
Yeah, he was gonna do right behind Adams.
Okay.
And then the other building next to it, so we could get the kiddos on these side streets rather than this road.
Well, somebody
Now,
told me,
that could
that-
change too, but.
somebody told me on the search and rescue building that they don't even want a building down there. They told me that all they want is a storage, they'd rather have a storage building sitting out at the lake out there, which evidently right next to the airport out there, there's a piece of county property out there. That they need a heated building that they can put their boat in and all their equipment to be in, and all they really want down here is a bathroom in the search and rescue building.
I think it's more a matter of Cadillac version versus what we can afford.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying, you know, I mean, a bathroom is a heck of a lot less than a brand new building.
Well, there's.
Well, that bathroom was
actually a-
supposed to have been put in a year and a half ago in the search and rescue building.
Just to give you some facts, we had a meeting with Search and Rescue, I don't know who you talked to there, but what they have right now, yeah, they wanted just the boat out here at the airport,
Right.
and the airport's county building, or county property, so that's what they're looking at, because their calls for the boat.
Right, I
or something
understand.
like- The problem is all their equipment that's not lake
Right,
related
right.
is scattered at people's personal homes.
Is it?
They've outgrown this building over here,
Sure.
they don't have any room for anything anymore
Right.
in there. And there's an awful lot that needs to be done with it to make it so that it's, can be used.
Right.
One thing the head of Search and Rescue told us is, well, if we get called in the winter, we're just gonna have to break down our doors and then figure it out. Well, these are things that we have to
Right, I
address. So what do? Do you do the big picture and address their needs, or do you just put on a Band-Aid?
Right.
This is addressing their needs. Yeah, it probably won't be the boat, they're gonna have to find the money to build a building out
Right.
at Silos.
Right.
But in partnering with everybody else, we were able to get their price minuscule compared.
Mhm.
And then we can bring all the equipment from people's personal homes into one central location.
Okay.
So, yeah, no, Search and Rescue's been a partner with us on this for probably the last 2
Okay.
years.
You know, like I said, I mean, progress goes on, I mean, everything's fine and dandy, I mean, I just kinda wanna start defining where the heck you guys think I got an easement, and where the heck I think I got an easement on this deal too, you know, and then in future reference, what's going on with all this stuff, the new complexes, like, basically, you say none of this is in the floodplain here, so there's a lot of potential of a lot of buildings going on. And things that are going on. You never know, 20 years down, you guys weren't thinking this 5 years ago about building down here, you know, so.
It actually started about 5 years ago.
Oh,
Ironically,
okay.
they say that, yeah.
5.5 years ago.
Yeah, there you go.
But, no, you know, I mean, I know progress goes on all the time, I mean, it really does, I mean, and I guess that, you know, I mean, it's gotta be, you know, I mean, you guys gotta consider that, and addressing that in his budget, you know, I guess, because, you know, I mean, where's he gonna come up with it? I know they had a big problem, because, I mean, when we went on this, I'll actually tell you exactly what happened on that dump last time it was here, when it had barbed wire around it. My lawyer flat said, well, we need to put up a fence. And they turned around, and they said, well, you drop to a 30-foot road easement, so I guess this is how binding that road easement is. They said, do you wanna drop to a 30-foot road easement? And I said, I'll drop to a 30-foot road easement if you put chain link around that dump, and put privacy slots on. And they turned around, they said, we can't afford chain link fence around that dump. I said, I'll give you 600 feet of chain link fence. Cause I had it sitting in my yard, and they said, no. They turned around and started putting that fence up, and I said, well, that's fine. I'm not gonna give you 40 feet of my road easement either. So that's why we got a 75-foot road easement out right now. Is, I mean, because nobody wanted to work with anybody to try and resolve this problem, and make it look nice or anything like that.
I love that change there, but it wouldn't have privacy slots in
Yeah.
it, because that doesn't work for trash.
Right, I
So
understand.
wind's gotta go through it,
Oh, yeah.
or
yeah.
else the garbage just climbs the fence.
Sure, all goes right over the top anyway? Oh, okay. You know, but it was things like that, you know, I mean, there was no working together with anybody on, like I said, and it wasn't a deal that, I mean, it was a 6-month deal. I fought with these guys for 7 years over the garbage down there. I mean, and nobody wanted to do anything other than, Their solution though is when they had 2 strands of barbed wire on their post down there, is they got me 50 foot of snow fence, that plastic snow fence, and she says, here, this is what you get to take care of the problem with the garbage going on. You know, and that, you know, that brown snow fence that's sitting on the side there, I know you don't have anything to do with this, you know, I did before you were even there. But I mean, that was their
I would much
solution.
rather go pick up the trash
Mhm.
than put up another fence,
Mhm.
because fences are a temporary fix.
Right, well, it contains it to where it is what I'm saying.
I can show you pictures of litter fence, 6 of them deep, that are full of
Mhm.
litter.
Mhm.
They were there.
When the first one gets full, it just goes up over there. It's like a snow fence.
Mhm.
There's a reason they stack snow fence on each other.
Right, gets the next layer.
Yeah, it just keeps knocking it down.
Okay.
My recommendation is, I think Nicole and I can work together to do a little research on this, and then, you know, if we have a surveyor, we can do a survey.
Well, my question to you is, maybe it would be beneficial if just the 4 of us, and not to
Yeah.
exclude the commission, but just so it's not at the commission table, were to sit down and say, okay, what do you want? What do you and your wife want for an easement? Because the only surveyor we have available to us is surveyors, we would have to pay for. So if we're gonna pay for a surveyor anyway, why not figure out what it is he wants and have that survey performed, so it's something that's actually on a recorded document, a recorded survey, so we're not doing it twice.
Okay.
Do you think that that would
Yeah,
be
totally.
a good way to move forward?
What about putting the recycling out at the transfer station? Get it out of town.
Well,
So then we'd have all those people
that.
that wanna take recycling driving up Indian Creek Road to get rid of their recycling.
They drive somewhere to get to where it's at now.
They do it now because it's on the way to get rid of their trash.
That's
So if you wanna build us a new transfer station that will accommodate getting rid of this, I'm all for that.
We need to-
Don't
It's
let
not
it be a
done.
transfer station. But I don't think you want 30 vehicles a day driving up Indian Creek Road at the minimum.
Is that a problem on Indian Creek Road? 30 vehicles going over?
There's a lot of rough truck traffic on
Indian
that
Creek
road.
Road is a scary road, it's a really scary road to travel.
There's probably,
Yeah.
there's
it's a-
probably,
It scared me, I drove up it every day.
I'm sorry.
I bet you there's 40 trucks a day going up and down that hill.
Very fast.
Yeah, and they're moving.
The other thing is the commonsensical kiss, keep it simple. If you're asking people to drive another 4 miles for their recycling, chances are that's gonna end up in the dump, and then it's going to end up in the landfill, and then we're gonna be paying higher fees, higher tipping fees, and not realizing any revenue. Economically, it's a bad idea.
I'm not getting all
It's
the recycling
irresponsible.
anyway, you're losing money on recycling.
How can you say that?
Because
Show me some figures that show us.
I can get it for you, I guess.
How can you take a
I'm not gonna say.
$40 tipping fee,
The
not
other
pay
thing,
that,
when you're talking about those,
and get
the
rid of
septic
it?
down there, the county's gotta go through the same hoops that you had to.
Okay,
I mean, we're
Well,
not,
just-
the county isn't any different than an individual, so.
all right.
Okay, we'll report back to you. We'll, Nicole set up a meeting
With a really
whenever you want
positive
to, and
answer.
we'll work on it.
Thank you for this.
Sure.
That's huge, appreciate it.
Can I
Gives us
keep these
something to
copies? I'll give you these.
Well, I had 3 copies, I
have-
have to keep one.
I have them, and Anne's going to make me copies of those again, so I can.
I can keep these.
you know, just-
I got these. I can keep that.
You can have that one there too.
I don't have this
Just-
one.
Okay, just keep,
Oh, wait.
go ahead, keep that.
Yeah, I do. All right.
Good luck.
Okay.
You call me up.
Yeah, let's chat out here, and then we'll figure out, do you have a calendar with you?
Thank you.
Give you
Thanks,
just-
Marty.
That's the easiest way to me getting you my phone.
That'll
I
work.
learned your lawnmower break.
I'll put it on the fridge, the guys will use it.
Thanks, Tom, appreciate it.
Well, thanks for your time, I sure appreciate it. I hope I didn't make any bugs.
No,
No, not at
no,
all.
I'm hoping that we can get this taken care of for you once and for all.
You know, I mean, just for the purpose of, well, biggest thing, like I said, you know, I said this for tax person. You know, my address, like I told you before, my address is not 720 North Cedar. I tell people that, and they look at me like I have 3 eyeballs. it doesn't go down into the 700 block now. You know what everybody says, because it does, usually, it never did, when it was a fairground product. And we turned around and I said, I live next to the dump. And they go, oh, we know exactly where you live. And that's exactly what I told the tax person. I said, you know, you raise my taxes $200 a year. And I said, is that because you guys added 4 new dumpsters? You know, did that make my property worth more money? You know, you know, and they laughed. They said, oh, that's funny, you know. No, it ain't funny, you know. I mean,
It's
I
not
tell
to
you what,
you.
you know.
No.
we
It's
do-
real life.
You know, you want, we'd like 9 dumpsters sitting in front of your house, you know, where the garbage is going.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's big. And I don't know, he says he doesn't like fences. That fence works very well, can keep there, I know, well, in fact, I don't know, I told, it was supposed to be a joke when I said it to Steve McCall and the guys. I said, when they built that monstrosity fence down there, I said, are you gonna rent it out to the US government to store Iraqi prisoners in it, you know, because it looked like a confinement fence, you know? And they said, no, we just don't want anymore. And that fence is tall enough that it keeps the garbage in. You know, yes, a 6-foot fence, it might climb it and stuff like that, but, you know, and that's one thing, when we have a meeting, I think we need to put a containment fence around, you know. And, I wanted to leave this with you guys. This is Echo Lab. They used to do all our spray work for all our bugs and everything else for the VA hospital. When I worked out at the VA hospital, they took care of all our rodent problems, everything like that. And the Spencer, he comes to town, he goes to my place and sprays for spiders and everything else. And I was also talking to him about the bee problem down there too. And he's the one that told me that bees right now are big on protein in the summertime and they're big on sugar in the winter. And that's why they're so hot and heavy at that dump right now, because of all the pop bottles and the recycle and everything else, you know. The only reason I bring it up is because I think I said that to you too, is this gonna turn into a safety hazard where the county's gonna be liable? Because if you have that many bees down there, especially when it states in state law that you have to control your pests. And what happens if somebody goes up there and gets stung and is allergic to bees and dies up there? You know, I was talking to one of the county workers and he said that he's been stung like 50 times this year from bees. And I put 4 traps up, and like I said, I caught probably over 1,000 bees. And he went down and got 2 traps and put them around the recycling thing, just so they can work down there without having the bees trapped. And right now, they're really cleany, you know, because I think with the cold weather, you know, how they get where they think they're little heat seekers now, you know, they're running around trying to land on you all the time, you know. But I just don't want anybody to go up there and get hurt, you know, and, you know, get stung, get sick or something like that, you know. But all right, well, I'll get out of your hair. I know you got a lot of business. Have a nice
Thanks,
day.
Marty.
All right,
Thanks for coming in.
all right.
Okay. We have these journal vouchers. I've been through them.
All right, I have 2.
Okay. Have you been through this?
All right, I will move to approve the adjusted journal entries for July 2015.
Moved and seconded to approve the adjusted journal entries for 2015. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. All right.
And then Doug wanted to talk to us about the attachment A and Debbie about the tax levy requirements report before we make a decision on the budget, and then, of course, following up with Corey. So whatever
Okay.
order you would like. The Corey and probably the tax levy requirements is one subject. Today's deadline is required by law for the mill levies, attachment A. So,
And Debbie wants to talk to us about the mill levies.
about that sheet right there.
This one.
Yeah, which would be the departmental part of the budget, general operations. So it might be smoother for us if we talk to Doug first about attachment A again, since today is that deadline. And then talk with Corey and Debbie afterwards.
Sounds good to me. You wanna call him?
Would you mind? Thanks, Ann.
months ago, she told me you do this. And now you see what she's doing.
Same thing happened last year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Franklin knows how ignorant. Thank you. Who cares?
It does.
All we have to do is show reports and studies and experts to rebut everything somehow. But public and up here, he feels like he can say anything. Yeah, printed out for you. I've asked Corey to take a look at it. He and I talked about this.
At noon, you mean?
Yeah, no, after
Earlier.
the CBA negotiations. So I just printed it, it's not at all approved yet, it hasn't been reviewed by Corey yet, this is done, while he was gone. It's just something to consider, and I hope they'll just bloody it and make it a good document, as he's got a strong horse to start with. Hey Doug,
Hey,
how are ya?
good.
Pull up a chair.
I'm not gonna have that ready today. Our, the three funds that you're needing on there, when we went to Black Mountain, they never set up a revenue account for those funds. So, they never set up a revenue account in their, and I haven't proven whether this is true or not. I gotta kind of do some studying on but when they set up that FP6B report to automatically populate, which would make it a lot easy to do, they never put a revenue fund on that, I don't know what you call it, that certain area of their software. So I think the revenue showed, like when we do an A1, when we get A1 ones that we have to do for the school every month. And it hits certain accounts. I think it's hitting those accounts in the revenue, but it's not populating over into this FP6B
Oh, okay.
report area, I think is how it's working. But I have to go back month by month and their beginning balances on their FP6B report were off from what mine were on my FP6B ending report from last year, which they should match. So I think I'm gonna be going month by month with all the funds on that.
We're back
And
for
those
the
are
year.
those are just three of the funds on that report. I have actually about 7 different funds on that report that I'm gonna have to go back and make sure their amounts are right. So it's gonna take a while.
So you're gonna have to go back when we went to Black Mountain.
As far then as that goes, correct me if my thinking is wrong. We have a legal deadline to approve the attachment A today, set the mills. We can go ahead and set the mills, all except for those ones, the school transportation and school retirement. And as long as we get that done by DOR's deadline in October, we should be good.
That should be okay. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll have it, I'm fairly sure I'll have it done by the end of the week, but it's gonna take some number crunching and probably late nights to get it done.
I was just gonna say, it sounds to me like you've been burning a candle at night.
Yeah,
Can we get a letter from Black Mountain stating why there was the delay in those bills? Again, because today is a legal deadline.
I think I can get, yeah, probably would send me something.
That would be
I know I've
good.
got emails from her that she sent today saying, you know, the beginning time numbers were wrong. So, yeah, I'll ask her if she'll send me something.
Okay.
You just need something saying these three funds cannot be mailed due to conversion errors.
Okay, that would be fine, I just think we need something that says this was not county error, this was not
Right.
county.
Yeah,
You know, this is not county, this
Yep.
is conversion and out of our control.
yep, I think Bill did that.
Just CYA.
Well, yeah, to be
Yeah.
honest, it is, I think it's necessary.
Yeah, all right.
Okay. Did you see any issues with the attachment A then beyond that? Just those two funds?
Yeah,
No, three funds, wasn't it?
3 funds, yeah. Now, the
Where did it go?
7840, they didn't even have on their list of funds on the FP6B report, but we've been receiving payment once all year to the 7840 account, and they've been going in. I mean, I see that each month. I have to send the school a check each month. I send 3 forks a check. I just transfer the funds to Townsend. And so I see the reports each month, and I can see the money coming in and the money going out. But this FP6B part that we're working on now, which is what I have to complete that form in order to figure the mills for those 3 funds, because it takes into account a bunch of different stuff, a bunch of our mining revenues, if we have any, and stuff like that. And so, you
Okay.
probably remember the FP6B report.
I do, and it turns my hair gray just thinking about it.
Judy used to lock herself in the back room for a week when she had to do it. She just hated sort of grind. I called Black Mountain today and got a hold of one of the gals there, and I said, on a different issue, and I said, well, I'll be calling you back on the FP6B report. You work on that? She said, I'm sorry to say I do, and I'll bet you're sorry to say you do too. I said, I am.
Been there, done that, huh?
Yeah, it's the
It's
the
nasty.
mother of all reports.
Mhm.
It's not a fun one, and you have to do 3 other reports in order to get to that report. I have the other 3 done, they went okay, I thought, but I'll have to go back and check them now that I know the revenue. Those shouldn't have been affected though, because I was just going off the regular Black Mountain reports for those, so. We'll see.
All right. So if we do need to readdress those, we can do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll try my best to have them by the end of the week. I should be able to, I think, depending on how things go with Black Mountain.
All right.
Sorry, I didn't have them today. Yeah, when I looked up, Dave sent me the FP6B, well, he walked me through how it
Dave
works.
Martin?
No, Dave Devaney. He's kind of their computer technician guy. But he walked me through how to get that FP6B report. And then I ran their cash reports, and my balances on the cash report were about triple what the FP6B was saying. And so I called again to talk to them, and I got a hold of Pat and Heather, and I had 3 of them working on it at once. And this is what we came up with. They just weren't, the funds weren't put in there, so Pat and I went in and got the funds put in for next year. So this FP6B report should populate correctly next year. This year, it's gonna be a hands-on,
Yeah,
sorry.
thanks Doug.
I'll do my best to have it to you by Friday though.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thanks,
All right.
Doug.
Thank you.
When you're done, I haven't really reviewed the attachment A. Could I just review that before making a motion on that part?
On these?
No, the attachment A on the mills?
See if it's in my stack.
It's not. There it is. Thank you. I'll make sure we don't use the same hospital mistake.
Ask a question on the mills, did the hospital district submit a budget request?
And they came here to defend their budget and had 3 requests with it, so yeah,
Okay.
they
You
did.
all got my memo that I did before I left?
Mhm.
Right,
Yep. I sent you an update on that.
okay.
It was kind of cool the way everything came together, and definitely an example of lemons.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
so I think a great shining moment for the county. Thank you.
Okay, well, when I find that in my file, I will peruse it.
You haven't read all your emails yet?
How many emails did you get while you're gone?
I think I have 250 unread still, so. There's about 50 this morning, so.
I will move to adopt and accept attachment A as presented with the realization that we will need to readdress because of the Black Mountain conversion error regarding the FP6B.
Looking for a second.
Rework, word the motion again.
Move to adopt attachment A as presented with the realization that we will need to readdress the missing mills due to the conversion error with Black Mountain to the FP6B reports.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Motion carried. Do you want this, Ann?
You know, when you sign that, it's kind of been a practice. We started a couple of years ago.
What about this?
That has also the operating budget, so we need to meet with, let's
Debbie.
see. Annual mills, is there 2 resolutions there?
No, there's 2 pages to it, I think it's all.
If this has operating budget in it, we need to wait until we meet with Debbie. The title just refers to the mills.
I read it, but I don't remember seeing operating.
I'm done whenever you are. I move to approve the resolution providing for the annual tax levy in mills for the fiscal year 2016.
for the mills. Okay.
Is that
Go along
second?
with that.
It's moved and seconded that we pass this resolution providing for the annual tax levy in mills. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose the same. Just sign, please.
I approve, but I'm not gonna sign it though.
Thank you. Thanks, Aaron.
And make a note that Franklin did not sign,
And
please.
yes,
You want this too, Cory?
Now do we need Debbie?
Yeah, either her or Cory first.
Okay. Corey's here, so I guess that's fine.
Ask a question on the mill levy one.
Mm-hmm.
It says hospital district voted mill levy 14.48. And is that the equivalent that they need to get this 170 now, before it was 10.95?
The other 10.95 was for 150,000 equivalent. This one is 170,000 equivalent. So, yeah, it is the correct amount. The value of the hospital mill went up, so the number of mills goes down.
Say that again.
But it went.
The value went up, so less mills are needed to realize that total, so the number of mills went down. So that's why it's not 14.95.
No, it was 10.95, I thought.
There was a different mill levy. That was the last 3-year levy for 150,000 or
Right.
equivalent. So this is for 170.
I thought the 170 was 10.95. That's not what it was.
No, and that was, we assumed it was 14.95 to begin. It was in your
Okay.
memo.
Okay, 14.95.
Yeah,
I knew there was a 0.95 in there. I
yeah.
think you're right. Okay.
Do we want Debbie too at the same time?
It's up to you, but here's my thinking. If we can give her as much time to figure out this one little piece that she's gotta figure out, she might be able to get it done. So if she's not needed, I would request that we leave her to her thing until she's needed.
That's fine.
She's trying to work a program with a question that she's trying to find the answer to, and it's quite convoluted.
You know, I'm glad that we went with Black Mountain. And conversions always turn your hair gray, no matter who it is,
Yeah, yeah.
but they've done a good job of turning my hair gray.
Well, and it's like anything, you've got half of the county apps that work with Black Mountain loving it. And they've said, I'm not going back. And then you've got the other part of the county, that has had one problem after the next. And we have finally figured out just last week that it was an error, aside from the one Doug brought up today, there was an error where some of the conversion was deleted in the process. And then that employee went on vacation. So we're kind of stuck knowing this was done wrong. That's why Doug hasn't been able to balance since October. Very big deal. And we found it because of the auditors being here. So they're working on it. But we're just kind of stuck. So, and that's all again, aside from what Doug brought up today.
I'm
Well,
supposed to go to a case review meeting. Do you need me right now? Or anything?
Do you have time to address the market adjustment further, or?
I can, if you want, yeah, I wasn't
Okay.
sure what you were,
Where do you have to go?
say again?
Where do you have to go?
Oh, we just do every Monday afternoon, we do a case review meeting with the sheriff's office, but they're aware of me here, so they're waiting for me to call, so I can wait.
All right. One thing I just want to clear up from our conversation before, I don't think either I was clear or perhaps I was understood. Market adjustment isn't going to include another department. But in our having to look at the whole picture, especially with general fund, which includes more than one department, in my opinion, we wouldn't be responsible not to consider the big picture. And it does include the supervisors who have the supervisory role as a piece of that. No, they're not part of the market adjustment, and just because a department head, anyone, comes forward and meets the criteria, doesn't mean that we're gonna automatically say yes. We still have to look at the overall budget, how it fits in the overall scheme of things. So, I just wanted that to be clear.
No, I know, I appreciate that, and knowing that I had asked for a lot with both that way raise and with the secretary, that was why I communicated to you that if it came to an overall budget question, my first priority was the pay raise, second priority was the additional legal secretary. I would rather not have that secretary funded in order to get their pay raise. And so if it comes to an overall budget issue, the pay raise for the existing staff is more important to me than additional help, which is needed, but is second in priority. If you're gonna say no to something, I'd rather say no to the secretary, and we'll just find a way to make it work.
Well, does Brooke work 40 hours a week?
She does, but she works, so her time is split between us and a state grant from the Board of Crime Control.
Okay.
And so the way that raise to be implemented, I haven't quite figured that out. I need to work with Doug Matucci after this, but that grant may or may not increase commensurate with that raise. So the county may end up taking on a larger share of Brooke's time, but it's still not gonna be the full amount that the county would be responsible for. I don't know what that percentage would be right now, because the grant may increase that to that amount, but if it does, so it may have a lag time of, 8 months or something.
Go.
I'm just going to say that, I did take into account what you had said before you left, at the beginning of this process. And that is why and how I justified the $1 per hour for this year, with the full expectation that we would be able to address more after we got into an overall review. We asked the general fund to cut 5%. How we go further than $1 per hour on something that doesn't make sense to me at this time, not deservedly, but again, with the whole picture, the big picture, I can't justify beyond that. The other, the comparisons are brought out all the time. The thing is the general fund is a tougher monster because it is the marriage of a number of different departments. Solid waste is a standalone, road is a standalone, sheriff's department is a standalone, detention center is a standalone. General fund is a marriage and everybody's gotta work together. So, I feel very comfortable in justifying $1 per hour with a long-term plan to review. So I will stand behind that, but I can't go more at this time.
What does that take their wages to?
Whatever Corey gave us before, I don't have that off the top of my head, 1967, 1974?
Today?
Yeah. I
Well,
believe
that's-
that's with the
that's-
36 cents.
Well, as I understand, you're saying it would increase of $1 an hour off of the existing plus the 36 cents.
Yeah, so $1.36
So
per hour.
right now, they're at $16.51 for Wendy and $16.59 for Brooke. So you increase that by $1.36 per hour. Keeping in mind that county is responsible for 2/3 of Brooks. Actually, 3/5. 3/5 of Brooks. And 2/5 is from a grant.
So 1787 to 1795. And I will also say, Corey, I appreciate how much passion you have for this. I expect no less. Most of our department heads who've come forward for their staff and board members who've come to assist have been equally passionate, again, no less than I would expect. So, I appreciate that. I know it falls with a thud, but it's still out there.
Well, I mean, why don't we, if you're concerned about overall budget, let's just scrap the secretary request right now. That's 20 hours a week, $12 an hour. Just scrap it. Save that money, use that not only for my savings, but to provide them a greater revenue increase for their raises.
But don't you need that secretary?
Sure I do, but I don't need it as badly as I need to compensate them for the work they're doing and the work I'm asking them to do. It's not a matter of what I need, it's a matter of what I need more.
What does that work out to?
That's $12,480 right now, that's budgeted for that. It's actually, the savings, total is $14,667 to the county, because you look at unemployment insurance, workers' comp, social security, and retirement, no health insurance, so you're actually saving $14,600. I'd like to see that redirected to the 19, whatever I asked for, the 19, roughly 1940 each.
When did I get this 1967 I got written down? What was
So
that?
that was based off of a calculation from Debbie of, if the request I asked for plus the COLA, it would have been 2067 for Windy and 2074 for Brook. So I said, let's go $1 lower than that for each of them. So that's where I got the 1967 and 1974.
Hello, Lynn.
We're almost done.
Oh.
We're still haggling here.
Okay, well,
It's like
you said
buying a-
2:30 and I was late.
I know, it's like buying a rug in the Turkish bazaar. Have a
I'll
chair.
tell you what, Major.
Have a chair. Have a chair.
I was in the middle of something.
All right,
Try
I'll call you when we're done.
Okay.
So split out, what does that take from each two?
I'd say if he's doing it for secretary, we could go along with him on his, for the two employees he has here.
I applaud Corey, but I'm gonna bring this out. We asked the general fund to cut out 5% from the top. One of the reasons the general fund is a little out of whack this year is because what we were forced to do last year with the settlement with the sheriff's department. So 5% off of the total current expenditures requested by the general fund is $77,806.
So what's my share of that?
Problem is it's not only the county attorney's budget, you're also married to those other departments.
Right, but you asked me to
So-
cut 5%, right?
That
You're
is
asking every
correct, and I will
department
have
to
that here in just a second,
cut. Okay.
but I just want you to understand, and I need to reiterate it so that, anyone else who has a question understands that we addressed it. It's not just, you're not the solid waste department that has their revenue based on a totally separate, formula. So your total is $11,000.
That's what I need to say. So if you look at my June first memo, the top of page 2, my initial estimate of the savings realized from these moves that I requested stands at $44,600. So I already found a savings of $44,600 in my budget, and from that, I'm requesting those raises, which is much less than $44,600. So I already did that at the end of May.
Yeah, I don't
That's-
argue that a bit.
So I'm saying, cut the secretary request, meet me at the 19 whatever rate for these, and you're gonna have more than a 5% savings from my budget.
What was the secretary gonna make per year?
It was, 12,480. 12, up to, it was $10 to $12 an hour, depending on experience, for 20 hours a week.
Oh, that's right, I forgot that she was just part-time.
Or he or she.
Right, I'm sorry.
They keep doing that,
Holy-
she, I'm like, it could be a man, come on.
Mhm.
If we do this, are we prepared and are we willing to address some of our other employees and say, please come in and see us because we're giving market adjustments right now without having a comprehensive plan? That's the question that we're gonna be asked and need to make okay with ourselves and be okay justifying to the public.
If you
That's
did
what
that,
it's went all the time before. I don't know why you're getting this way on this one.
Franklin, this can't be emotional. We've told
Emotional?
employees,
I'm not
we've told
emotional.
employees yes, and we've told some no. We have employees who have not received the market adjustment that they can A, justify, B, afford, because it just didn't fit with an overall make sense for the county situation. I think $1 an hour was a good compromise, again, with the long term. So, I'm 1/3 of this commission, whatever you guys decide, that will be my vote. And I will request that electeds get together to try and address some of these so that we have a more sensical pay
Yeah.
structure for the
It
county.
needs to be done.
I would just say that with the market adjustment that I did, the research that I did, even with that $1 an hour raise, we're still below all the other counties we looked at.
You know, like I said, we're in the bottom 10 for the state,
But
and
it-
that's not a place to be proud of.
But I think if you're holding it back based on what other people within here do, then you're mixing apples and oranges. You're not doing it based on market adjustment, which is what we've got ourselves negotiated into a corner to do based on the CBA. We're doing a market adjustment mixed with the overall fairness thing, which is fine, but that's not what the market adjustment is. And, I mean, I don't know,
You're willing to give up the secretary?
yes. Do it
For
right now.
sure.
Absolutely.
You're not coming to us at Christmas and saying,
No,
you're gonna work those girls to death?
we're gonna look smarter and harder, both. We're gonna make that detective work hard, I'll tell you that.
And that's okay, they should.
Although the detective, whoever it is gonna have to go to a lot of training, so I don't expect much productivity the first 6 months.
So where do they for training?
There's all kinds of specialized investigation training, crime scene, interrogation, technical evidence, there's all kinds of training. Law Enforcement Academy, or if they go to specialized trainings that the National Police Chiefs Association puts on, all kinds of stuff.
When do you think you'll be able to have that filled?
I think they closes Wednesday, and then Brenda needs to set up the interview process.
Is that in-house?
I think they opened it in-house.
first round.
I'm looking for a motion, somebody.
Okay. Well, Corey, like I said before, we give up on your secretary. I would make a motion that we go along with the figures at the 19, whatever those figures were.
Let me find my right paper here.
I think we need some specifics with this motion. Whatever
Yeah,
the
we
total would be.
The request I had was, I was requesting 19.36 an hour for Wendy Richards and 19.43 an hour for Brooke Dolan.
Yeah, that's what I got written down.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And recognizing that I have to work with the Border Crime Patrol to understand how that grant nests in with the county pay. So at this point, I will report back to you if the proportion of her pay has to change from what it currently is. It's currently 3/5.
So, will there be trouble in paradise with one making more than the other?
No, Brooke's been there for 10 years longer.
Oh. All right,
I'll second the motion with those sums, according to us.
okay, it's been moved and seconded. You know, I think he owes us a box of candy. Just kidding. Did we grant the county attorney's staff, Wendy at 19.36, Brooke at 19.43 an hour? All in favor, say aye.
Okay.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay, I can't justify beyond $1 an hour when we're asking the entire fund to cut by 5%, and when we haven't had a comprehensive review, to be sure that it makes sense for the entire county. So, I'm glad for your staff, Corey, I appreciate how well you argued this. You got your raises for your staff, go forth and conquer.
And you got your savings, because I did all that work in May, trying to find you savings, which I did on the front end. So,
And we certainly
I
appreciate
don't think that's
that.
unreasonable.
Your girls will be tickled.
Okay, thank you.
Now I think we need Debbie, here's where the hard work starts.
What did I do with? Did I send the resolution that way?
And then Corey took it,
Okay.
there it is. Can be attached, attachment A. Did you want it?
No,
You want it to go here?
yeah, I just thought I'd lost it.
All right.
When Wynn came in and talked to me this noon, he wanted us to be remembered that Wednesday at 3 o'clock here for his presentation.
The what?
The presentation of some of his staff getting awards that he talked to us about.
Yep.
What was the time?
3.
It's the 9th.
It's the 2nd. Isn't it? Tomorrow's the 1st. Isn't that right?
It is right, yeah.
Oh, Wednesday the 2nd. Oh, I was going to the following week.
Mm-mm.
So it's the 2nd.
Yeah, I'm glad you made that clear with us last week.
Mm. He's getting ready to go on vacation.
Who?
When?
Oh, good for him, he needs
Okay.
it.
They're going to Fort Peck.
Oh, nice.
Fishing.
Good for them. That's excellent.
He said, I get hungry just thinking about that. He said, we catch all the fish and we fillet them and cook
Oh,
them up.
nice.
Why are we blacked out for next Tuesday afternoon?
We requested that last week. We actually talked about not having a meeting at all, but already had appointments. I'll be gone all day. I can be here for an hour, that's it. Hello, Lynn, nice
Hello.
coffee you have there. Thanks for offering.
I need it.
So what day is that deal you're talking about?
7th, 8th. We're here in the morning at 10 o'clock.
Debbie is not going to come up. She has been working with that and in conversation with both Harold and Nancy Everson. And she said, as of today, we're gonna have to go with what's up and sheet for today.
We need to table then.
Okay.
What we have here is, point 13, 13% reserves for law enforcement and 8 for the detention center.
No way.
I don't know where, I can't figure out where it all went.
I don't know, and she has not been able to find it. Everything she figures, it comes back to that. So she's,
They had all kinds of money.
They did. Apparently, the 200,000 that was supposed to go from the detention center to public safety, is not in the latest cash report. I don't know where it went.
I guess I don't trust those cash reports, to be honest, right now.
Well, I don't know how we got from 56% to 8% in a matter of 2 days. So we need to get to the bottom of this. So, I move that we table a decision on the operating budget for fiscal year 16 until, could we do it the 14th or the 16th?
Yeah? Which one do you prefer?
I prefer the 14th so that we can follow up through the 16th if need be. Because we'll be gone the next week and, we're running out of time.
How long do you need, I wonder?
If we can get this, I don't know if we need to rework it all. I don't have a clue, so I'd say maybe put it at the end of the day and,
3:30?
on the 16th, I think we have John Wright. Oh, in the afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Yeah, it's up to you, whenever you wanna put that in.
I think I'm gonna go back here on Wednesday, the 10th. Oh, I can't. I got doctor's appointments before.
You wanna put him on the 14th? and
Yeah,
do a
I guess so.
marathon? John Wright too?
Oh, no.
John Wright's the 16th.
Mhm. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I was having a singing moment there. Sorry. All right. I'm going back 10 o'clock on the 14th. What am I saying? Operating budget, what?
Oh, final decision on adopt fiscal year 16 operating budget. We have a request here.
From whom?
Hmm?
From whom?
Well, one of the issues on this tax levy requirements is trying to find that money. Okay, so 200,000 is what we were just talking about. The expenditure budget shot up from 747,122 to 973. And on this report, budgeted cash reserves are only at 26. That's why we have 0.8, or no, 3%, I'm sorry, not 8, 3% reserves. Why the expenses went up? I don't know.
I think it's something with
The system is
Black Mountain.
dumping in some funny numbers, and I think we're stuck until we have those accurately. We can't adopt anything until we have that. So I guess we talked about rescheduling. How about this? I move to table the adoption of the operating budget until September 16th at 10 o'clock.
the,
All right?
September 16th? I thought,
the second,
okay, are you sure of the date now?
yes.
I just wrote down September 14th, 10 a.m.
No, that was already full. I went to the 16th on Wednesday.
At 10 a.m.,
Yep.
September 16th, okay.
Yep. Now I need a second.
I'll second
We moved and seconded then that we postpone the adoption of fiscal year operating budget 2016. All in favor, say aye.
it.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. I think Dave Morton would be called. Tell me what's going on, Dave, because this is, I mean, it shouldn't be changing, some of the stuff is changing.
Want to call right now?
Yeah, I do, I'll call Dave.
All right. If you get his number, I'll go get the phone.
Is this part of the meeting?
Would have to be because it's more than one commissioner. Yeah. Yeah. If you're okay with that, I'll go get the phone.
Yep.
Okay.
Would you go down and give me Dave Morton's phone number, please?
I'll also ask Debbie to come down, come up.
Okay. I sometimes think it helps to know people from my former life.
Yeah, yeah. Now, who's this person
He owns Black Mountain,
Oh.
Dave Morton.
then? Oh, okay.
When I was clerk and recorder, and then I was also on their executive board for 4 or 5 years there, I got to know Dave pretty well.
So what was he doing then? There was no Black Mountain then, was there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there was?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
But they mainly had schools at that time.
Okay, now make sure, yeah, okay. 10 a.m. the 16th, it's on the operating, and John Wright is on the 16th.